Hi, I want to tell you a little bit about a silent retreat I went on not long after I became a churchgoer again. The parish I was in went to a little place called Wantage Convent in Oxfordshire, and we were led through nuns across a weekend, and we were remaining silent. The first evening itself was, bizarrely amusing, as we were all given soup and toast and given our instructions for how the weekend went. And then the first thing after we all went all holy and silent was the volume and cacophony of people trying to butter their toast. The next day we were invited into a meditation with one of the sisters, and we took with us something we'd been asked to bring along. Now, I've not been doing this very long at this point, and we'd been asked to bring along a piece of wood. Well, I didn't know what for, so I brought along something not dissimilar to this. A machined piece of timber. I happened to have it in the house. I didn't know what it was for. Maybe we were going to whittle with it or draw on it, or I didn't know. Those in the know, and that was everyone else apart from me, didn't take something like this. They instead took something more like this. A lovely bit of gnarled wood out of the garden, or maybe a piece of bogwood that they've discovered floating around by the beach. Because we were going to be looking at these things and contemplating them to consider what God might be saying to each of us through an object. Well, they were all right, weren't they? They had something like this. Me, I had a machined piece of wood. The point of it was something that's mentioned throughout Scripture. Sometimes God speaks to the prophets and says, "What do you see?" And in Romans, in chapter 1, we hear that forever since the world was created, people have seen the earth and sky, and through everything God has made, they can clearly see his invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature. I'd set myself a challenge, hadn't I? So I pondered this for a long time. And then I started to notice that on the outside it was looking quite perfect, but actually there were notches in it, and there were bits of gnarled bits of wood even on the side where there used to be a little branch. And I realised actually that even though things may look good on the outside initially, there's still work to be done. For me, that weekend was the beginning of starting to see God in things. And one particular part of the garden at the convent really caught my attention. It was the orchard, where they had cut their trees. And I noticed that every single branch pointed vertically, or the majority of them. It was almost as if they'd made their apple orchard to look as if it was saying, look up to the one who we're made by. Consider the one who's created everything. And interestingly, if you were to walk between our house and the church here at St Jude's and look into our back garden, you might see our apple tree. And I was so taken by that thing at Wantage that actually over the years I've tried to trim our tree so that it also has all its branches going vertically. I'm not brilliant at doing it, but for me it's just something that is a big memory of mine from a long time ago. So how do we do this looking and pondering and thinking? Well, Philippians says this in chapter 4. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honourable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. Then the God of peace will be with you. If you get an opportunity to get out for a bit of an exercise or walk, don't just run around. Have a look. See what is honourable or right or lovely and admirable. Think about things that are worthy of praise. What might God be saying to you through his creation? Through everything that God made, we can see his invisible qualities, eternal power and divine nature, as we're told in Romans. I hope as we pass through these emergency days that you'll find something of God in the normal. You'll find something of God in the extraordinary. And that through that, the God of peace will be with you. Be blessed. stay safe.